feeling good, for sure. But I'm going to tell you something. You might be feeling good now because you just heard a good song. But goodness isn't about what's out there. Life is inherently good. Inherently good. And I think, think about it. What inspired you to be here this morning? What was it that called you in? Because there's different reasons at different times for different folks and different things that go on in our lives. And I don't know, were you feeling good? You wanted to be part of something greater, a community of people that are like-minded people? Did you want to be part of that? Were you feeling kind of funky and you needed to be uplifted? You know, there's all different reasons for us to come together. But we know right here that we're part of a big community, a big family, and sometimes we're here to help one another and sometimes we're here to be helped. But what helps us the most is a greater understanding of how life works and our place in it. Our place in this thing we call life. First of all, what Ernest Holmes teaches is there is only how many. Now, you should remember that. That's pretty darn easy, okay? There's only one. We can call it God, infinite intelligence, creative potential, anything you want, spirit. You call it what it is, but there's only one that is created everything. It's a phenomenon that this thing we can't see created everything. Now scientists this is pretty amazing. Scientists have kind of honed it in, and they have, some ideas, a cosmological model of what happened, but they don't know what created what happened. They know in the beginning of this universe there was nothing. Well, there was God, but we don't know what it was. There was nothing but creation. All of us came from. But it was really dense. Really, really dense. And it was really tiny. And it was a black hole. And there was not an explosion, but a really wild expansion. It just kind of happened all at once. It happened that all of this energy that was in this teeny tiny dense black hole just expanded. Now, this is the miracle. In order for all of this stuff, this energy, to take form, it had to expand at a certain rate, an exact, perfect rate, or it would just be a bunch of floating energy. And it had to be 1 part of 1 million billion. That was the rate. It had to be that perfect. So if you don't think there's a divine plan and we're not all here on purpose, we are. So it created, and then it kept expanding and evolving and growing like we are meant to do. But if we can't be in awe of life by thinking where we came from, what we came from, then something's wrong. Rabbi Abraham Heschel said we need to live in amazement. Now, Rabbi Heschel was a 20th century mystic, a religious intellectual, and a social change agent. He's probably best known. He walked with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And what he said after that is when he was walking with him, he felt like his legs were praying. That's somebody fully committed to life. He's committed to living his life in radical amazement. He said, just to be is a blessing, and just to live is holy. Now, I want to read you something he says that I hope wakes us all up, because it's kind of easy to slip back into humdrum life if we don't keep ourselves amazed. And so he lived in this radical amazement, and here's what he said. He said, I would say that an individual dies when they cease to be surprised. I am surprised every morning that I see the sunshine again. Every morning that I see the sunshine again. And when I see an act of evil, I'm not accommodated. I don't accommodate myself to the violence that goes on so much everywhere. I'm still surprised. And that's why I'm against it. That's why I can hope against what happens, because I'm surprised. He said we must learn how to be surprised and not to adjust ourselves. His last sentence says, I am the most maladjusted person in society. I love it. I love it. If we think of this inherent goodness, there is only one God, and it creates out of itself, and it parts itself into what it creates. So we must be one with God. We are the expression of God. We are that divine expression. If we think that this day is perfect, it's perfectly made, it's holy, it's good, it's wonderful, why do we choose? This Big Bang happened 13.8 billion years ago, and we're still contaminating this perfection with our negative and limited thinking. Why? We have to work at it. We have to train ourselves. Isn't that what Rabbi Herschel said? He said, we have to train ourselves. We have to learn how to be surprised, to live in awe and wonder. To live in, this doesn't feel so good, but I wonder what's possible here. I wonder what lessons are here for me to learn. I wonder what's going on, or celebrate the good times. We need to learn to live in that and not keep contaminating every day, these perfect days, these precious days that we've been given, with negative, limited thinking. We are here to expand and grow into a greater expression of ourselves all the time, not sometimes, all the time. Wow. So I'm going to ask you this, and I want you to think for just a minute. What small, limited thought, self-doubt, whatever, are you willing to let go right now and not bring into 2019? We don't have time for that. On front of our program, we put, of course, we are part of something greater. It says each of us can make a difference in our own way. Doesn't have to be huge, it's a difference. We can make somebody smile, and that makes a difference. We can do a thoughtful thing and make a difference. We can improve ourselves and make a difference. But together, we can change the world. We have work to do just in our consciousness. We need a bigger container, because it's not what happens to us in life. It's how we respond to what happens. And that's by the size, the shape, what condition our consciousness is in. We create each day, and it's not because we got on the right or wrong side of the bed. It's what kind of consciousness we stepped into. Are we going to step into the whiny, moany consciousness? Or are we going to be part of a consciousness that says, wow, I'm amazed. This is a new day, a precious gift for me. We get to decide what we're going to do with these beautiful things in life. So what are you going to let go of? Do you want to contaminate the rest of this day with some limiting thought? Come on, what are you going to let go of?
Luck.
Huh?
Luck.
Lack. I was going to say you're going to let go of luck. Okay, lack. Yeah, lack. Who wants to think lack? We live in an abundant universe. Absolutely. Okay, thank you. We'll hold on to that one until somebody else comes up with one too. We can add to that. But it's time for us to have this greater life. Now, if you want to live in a really good consciousness, you've got to move to the right neighborhood. So, before I tell you what neighborhood it is, one of the best, we just had this was a fun season. We had a good time, you know. Remember, life doesn't have to be perfect to be wonderful. That's it. But one of the best days was my daughter was sick. Now that didn't make it a best day, trust me. But she came to visit us, and we said, let's watch a movie. Let's, just rest and watch a movie. And Kirk and I had a movie in mind that we thought was really fun. He said, no, Mom, I want to watch Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Won't you be my friend? Now, I know glimpses of Mr. Rogers His television show started in 1968. I was a senior in high school, so I wasn't watching Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood and didn't have kids at that time. But, he had a very successful TV show for 33 years. And I saw him occasionally and thought he was a good man. I knew he was a minister, but I didn't know him so well as I did in this documentary. It came out last March, was in the theaters, and he died in 2003, and it would have come out this year on his 90th birthday. Now, the three of us cry pretty easy, but we're all going through the whole bit. Oh my God, that's so good, because he was, did anybody see that? Well, that's your homework if you haven't seen it. Yeah, it's on Netflix, okay? He was such an amazing man, and one of the comments said, I think Mr. Rogers is the best person that ever lived, and I'll tell you, after I saw that show, I thought so too. He so cared about children. He had a path to go on into the seminary. But before he did that, he said, I don't like what's happening on television. You see, Fred and his wife Joanne, his wife of 33 years, who's still living, they both had tough childhoods where they were not allowed to express an emotion at all. They couldn't say they were angry or hurt or sad. And so they both knew the importance of kids' feelings, and he said, I want to do something for children. Television is not what children deserve right now. He said, instead of teaching kids good values, I think television is teaching them to be consumers. Not much has changed, has it? And he said, why don't we make, what was this line? I was so excited about today, I didn't know what I wanted to talk about. So I have all these notes here, and I can't even, he said one thing I just thought, oh my gosh, was so cool. He said, let's make, let's make goodness attractive. Let me have a show on PBS that teaches kids some very important things. So he found out, and it was really interesting how he got all the puppets going, but he did that. And here's some of the things he taught the kids. He said, love your neighbor as yourself. Well, we know where that comes from. And he took hard issues. You can think of life in 1968. It was the beginning of the Vietnam War. We had segregation and racism at its height. Things were tough then, and he talked about these difficult issues. He said, children, these are 4 and 5-year-olds he was appealing to, have the same range of feelings and emotions that adults do. That adults do. Sorry, kids. Listen, I taught 5-year-olds for a long time, for 20 years, so I know. But anyway, he said, you don't have to do anything sensational to be loved. You can be loved exactly as you are, right now, right this minute. And he talked about war, and he talked about assassination. Bobby Kennedy was assassinated, and he brought that onto his show. He talked about when Krista McCullough and the astronauts, their death. He talked about death and grieving. He talked about things that kids needed to listen to. And I think he is probably one of the most wonderful people, so talented. Extremely talented musician, a puppeteer. He had all these voices. He was so kind. He could see beyond everything and just bring people together. In 1968, when his show started, President Nixon was going to cancel PBS, the funding for PBS, and so he went in front of Congress, and he was scared. He was scared, and he spoke, and he said, you know what? I end each program by saying, you've made this day a special day by just being you. There's no person in the whole world like you, and I like you just the way you are. And he said, if we can instill that into children, we can help the mental health of our world. That day, Congress gave him $20 million to continue PBS because people care. We think that people don't care, but underneath everything, people do care. So the neighborhood I want us to move into is Mr. Rogers' neighborhood. When he said, won't you be my neighbor, he didn't mean, it's just a lyric of a song. He meant, make friends. Make friends. Open yourself up to new people, indifferent people. Won't you be my neighbor? Won't you be my friend? And I want us to have that consciousness. You know, we want to be helped, as I talked about at the beginning, when there's times we need to be lifted up. But when he was asked, Mr. Roger was asked, well, parents got they couldn't talk, they couldn't teach like he did. Fred Rogers went to a lot of training from the top child psychologists at the time. He went through years of training to know how to handle things. They said, well, how do we help our kids? Just tell them, we are here for you. We are here for you. We are here for you. We will make things okay for you. That's all we need to say. And I would tell you, if you were listening right now to what God is whispering in our ear, you would hear, I am here for you. I'm making things okay for you. Just listen. Tune in. I'm here. We all, now, it made me think of that story, you know, when a man's standing on his roof because there's a great flood, and he's praying to God for help. And a canoe comes by and says, hey, I'll help, come on. No, I'm praying to God, God's going to help me. And then the motorboat comes by, and the guy says, come on, get in, our family's here, we still have room for me. No, I'm praying to God, God will help me. And then the helicopter starts putting the rope down, just climb on the rope, I'm here to help. And he goes, no, I'm praying to God, God's going to help me. And then the flood gets really high, he drowns, goes to heaven, he goes, God, where were you? I kept praying for you. And God says, I sent you a canoe, a motorboat, and a helicopter. What else did you want? There's helpers all around. Right now, I want you to think of somebody. You know, we're standing on the shoulders of giants, people that help masses of people. But sometimes the people that have helped us the most aren't the people that have taught us things in big ways, but the people that are giants right in here. The people that have made a big difference in our own lives, that have believed in us, that have wanted the best for us. I want you to think about who in your life has been that person. And I just want you to, wherever they are, if they're here or have passed over, just send them a moment of gratitude. Someone who believed in us. As Mr. Rogers said, someone smiled you into smiling. Someone talked you into talking. Someone sang you into singing, and someone loved you into loving. Thank those people. They've made us who we are today. He also said we need to be repairers of creation. He said there's one way to be a success. First, be kind to yourself and others. Second, be kind to yourself and others. Third, be kind to yourself and others. So what I want for us this year is to do just that, to be kind to ourselves and be kind to others, and to open up our neighborhood and be inclusive and loving. I'm going to close by reading a quote from George Bernard Shaw. This is the true joy in life. The being used for a purpose recognized by yourself as a mighty one. Being a force of nature instead of a feverish, selfish little clod of ailments and grievances, complaining that the world will not devote itself to making you happy. I am in the opinion that my life belongs to the whole community. And as long as I live, it is my privilege to do for it whatever I can. I want to be thoroughly used up when I die, for the harder I work, the more I live. I rejoice in life for its own sake. Life is no brief candle for me. It is sort of a splendid torch, which I have gotten a hold of for the moment. I want to make it burn as brightly as possible, before handing it on to the future generation. The future generation. Just take the hand of the person next to you. And if there's nobody there, there's there are angels all over. So know truly that we are all angels with just one wing, and we need each other to fly. We need each other to be our best. We are here together as one big, growing family because we love each other. And just share that love through your hands. Give it a little squeeze. And I just say, happy, happy, happy New Year, and thank you for being part of my one big family. I do love and appreciate each one of you exactly as you are. And so it is.